What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Blood on the Razor Wire TV, where we bring it to you real and we bring it to you raw. Today we got a guest on. We had him on before. He's got a pretty compelling story. He actually ends up meeting someone at the jail, and something happens. But we'll let him tell his story. Tell the people who you are, brother. Talk a little bit about you, and let's get into your story.
So I go by the name of L, also known as A Prisoner's Awakening. Got a YouTube channel as well. Appreciate you having me on, brother. It's been about a year since I've been on here, and it was an honor being on here as it is again, especially seeing where you're at now. God is good. And yeah, man, as I said it last time, man, I spent 15 years in the prison system. I did a 15-year term. And towards the end is pretty much what this story is going to be about, how I met my wife in the prison system.
We'll talk about that in a second, but you go to prison for 15 years. What do you go to prison for?
Attempted murder, gang enhancements, great bodily injury, discharging a firearm. And
how old were you at that time, bro?
I was 18 years old, brother. 18 years old.
18 years old, you're facing 15 years. You a gang member at that time?
Yes, sir. I was full-fledged gang member.
So, when you commit this crime, is it part of your gang affiliation, or is it just something you decide to do?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's definitely part of the gang affiliation, down south, bro. I mean, in California, it's a different animal, no better than anybody else, but it's a different animal. We got norteños, sureños, and obviously we got blacks down there and things like that. But we sureños go at it with each other, meaning we take each other's lives. And, there's blood feuds, and I got caught up in a 2-week blood feud, boom, 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 going back and forth. And that's what pretty much that's the circumstances surrounding my case. And then I ended up getting caught up for one of the shootings. I got shot up myself in the chest. And yeah, that's it's gang related.
Gang related. Crazy life to be, to live a life like that. But you walk into where? The California Department of Corrections?
Yes. Yep. I fought my case for a few years, looking at. They first charged me with conspiracy to commit a murder, because it was premeditated. Even though the dude didn't die, I shot him several times. Even though he didn't die, my intent was to go over there and kill him for the benefit of the gang, And I was looking at like 95 years to life, things like that. Fought it. They didn't have anything on me, bro. Honestly, and when I say that, they really didn't, bro. They didn't have me at the scene. They didn't have no gun. They didn't have no gunpowder residue in my hands, nothing. They just had one dude telling on me, and that was that. That's how they snatched me up. Fought the case. They deported the victim, couldn't testify on me. Got 15 years. I legitimately got lucky.
Legitimately get lucky, but you're going into prison. You're a gang member of Sureno at the time, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, when I go into prison, I already know what's in store as far as what I've heard. All my older homeboys that I grew up with on parole, white parole, whatever. So I always, from the jump, always trying to get ahead of the curve and ask them what it's going to be like. And in the county jail, I mean, there's a lot of homies there that are on parole, fighting new cases, doing things like that. So I already know when I hit the first prison I hit was Wasco State Prison. When I hit Wasco State Prison, I already know that we're at war with the Bulldogs, the Fresno Bulldogs out here in California, Central California. So I already know that as soon as I see these dudes, get off on them. You know what I'm saying? So it is that's what it was.
I want to ask you about this, though. What goes into the mindset when you're a young kid, man, and you join a gang? Was it mandatory in your neighborhood?
Well, how it was for me, Chad, it was generational for me. My pops messing around. My uncle was from the neighborhood as well. My brother was from the gang, So to me, those were my role models, not to mention all the older homies that I used to see with good cars, girls, making that money, you know what I'm saying? Strapped up, things like that. So that's what I wanted to be. I didn't want to be a cop or a fireman. I want to do any of those things when I got to a certain age. But what really got me going, my mom's was trying to keep me out of it. And she would have been successful, but since I lived in my neighborhood and the enemies knew that all my family members were from my neighborhood, they beat me up one day, and that changed my life forever. And it led me from trying to do good to joining, the family business, so to speak.
So when you talk about the family business, though, like, is your father like promoting that? So like, yo, bro, you're gonna be a little South Sider. I mean, what's it like?
Well, not necessarily. I think, and so my pops never really talked too much about what he was doing. I just remember things like him getting robbed or jumped or this or that. I think in hindsight, he must have told moms or me that that's what happened, but he probably wasn't a gang fight or something like that. So my uncle, yeah, he was all about it. He's the first one to ever show me a gun when I was like 8 years old, 7, 8 years old. Showed me and my brother our first gun. He had a Celica on Dan's, putting up bumping super free. So he was all with it, the nets and everything. That he was like full-fledged late 80s, early 90s gang member, bro. The epitome of one.
These are your role models. You're like, man, I want to be like that dude.
Yeah, I guess my uncle was my role model, man. Matter of fact, my uncle ended up he asked my mom one day to if she could let him borrow her car, and she was like, "Nah, I'm good," because she knew my mom. See, my mom she wasn't with that. She wasn't a gamer or nothing. She was a regular paisita from El Salvador, right? And she said no to him, and and I wanted to go with him. He used to take me everywhere, but my mom was like, "No, no, 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 I'm not going, and you're not borrowing my car." So what he ended up doing is stealing the car. I was gonna go with them without my mom knowing because I was on his hip, and he's like, "No, no, stay. I gotta go do something." And he ends up going doing whatever he does, gets in a car pursuit, crashes the car, does 5 years in prison. Came out in the newspaper and everything. So that's how close I could have been with him. But in hindsight, he knew what he was gonna go do. So it is what it is.
What neighborhood did you grow up in?
I grew up in okay, so my city is Santa Ana, Santana. That's what we call it, Santana. But my barrio is Logan Park or Logan Street, which is Barrio Logan. There is another Logan in California, in San Diego, no affiliation. That's Logan Heights. We're Logan Street or Logan Park.
Let's say you're just a normal kid, man. You don't want to be gang affiliated. What would your life have been like in that neighborhood? Going to, middle school, high school. I mean, would you have been targeted because you're like, yo, bro, I'm not with no gang stuff?
Occasionally, maybe, there might have been somebody that didn't believe me or whatnot. But with me, it would have been different because, like I said, even though they probably wouldn't have believed me, I probably would have had to taken a couple more ass whoopings, me denying that I'm from there, whatever, whatnot, because of my family. They knew. I mean, the city there's a lot of neighborhoods, but that little area where we're from, everybody pretty much knows everybody. We all go to school together. So we know who's who. You know what I'm saying? So eventually you're gonna know or not, but it would have probably took me a while before they actually got in their head, like, nah, that dude is, he's not from there, But yeah, I think after
I think my
that,
question
yeah.
is more of a question of not where you're from, but I mean, do you have to be a gang member growing up over there?
No, you don't. No, you don't. But yeah, like what I was trying to answer, is that not trying, but what I was answering is that um, you have to go through things like that. You do get victimized occasionally because dudes are just trying to beat somebody up when they can't find their enemies, and they pick on the weak, and they know if somebody doesn't bang, what's up, fool? Beat them up, things like that. But after you get past that, you'll be okay. But no, you don't have to be from no gang. They don't make you be from a gang. Matter of fact, my neighborhood, the motto is it has to come from you. You have to come to us and let us know that you want to be from the neighborhood. Ain't nobody ever gonna make you be from the hood. Some neighborhoods do that, but not our neighborhood.
Eventually, we talked earlier about you going to prison. You go to prison. What's life like when you walk into that prison system?
I was apprehensive, on my toes, like they say, because I know that we have a faction over there, the Bulldogs, like I mentioned, that it's on site, and we hear stories about them cracking doors, R&R, which is release and receiving. And I know that I have to be on my toes. Nothing happened, but that's what it was like, man. It was just anxiety, going in there, just trying to be ready. And eventually something does happen, but not the first day I got there.
So eventually something happens, but you're part of this gang. Do you feel like you have to go on missions and do things to people because you're part of the gang?
Well, at this point in my life, I'm Chad. I was fully I looked at it as my career. I was fully dedicated. I wanted to be the best Sureno I could be, according, to make my neighborhood shine. That's what we used to refer to it as, make my neighborhood shine. There was a point in my life where I didn't speak the way that I speak. I was made probably your stereotypical sounding Sureno or gangbanger. When I was in there, shoot times and all that, educated myself, grew up, different person. But yeah, I aspired to be the best that I could be by putting in work, And the only way you could do that is through violence.
You in a maximum security prison in California?
Yes, sir.
What prisons were you in?
Man, I was in a bunch of them. I was in Wasco, Calipatria, Centinela State Prison, New Corcoran, Corcoran, Tehachapi, Kern Valley State Prison, which is known as New Delano, Pleasant Valley State Prison, and I even did a short stint out of Mississippi and Arizona from the state transfers.
And you're from El Salvador, right, originally?
My family members, yeah. I was born and raised here, but my family's from El Salvador. As you can see, my flag.
What about the
So
MS-13 thing? I mean, those dudes are pretty violent, pretty dangerous dudes. Did you ever feel like that's the lane you should have been in because, of your heritage?
honestly, no, I never felt like I should have done that. One, because I grew up in my neighborhood. I mean, I didn't even know the difference between a Mexican and a Salvadoran until like I was like 11 or 12 years old. We all spoke Spanish. We were all brown. My homeboys, orale, cerote, like they used to mess around with me, like, oh, Salvadorian, no, but nothing like bullying or nothing like that, right? But I didn't truly know the difference until I got older. And then obviously the MS-13, things like that. As I got older, honestly, Chad, like I felt kind of sometimes disgusted by some of their tactics, the things that they do to some innocent family members, things like that. That's not the MS-13 in California because of the powers that be, the organizations. But man, yeah, man, I didn't like that stigma, that label that these dudes over here killing pregnant women type stuff and doing like that. But I never felt like I needed to be from MS-13. I grew up in Logan, and Logan was where I was going to be at, and I was embraced.
Let me ask you this, because you weren't Mexican, but, El Salvadorian, did you ever feel like maybe, you weren't looked upon as good as some of the other Mexican brothers or stuff like that? Was there any kind of like, yo, man, he's from El Salvador, bro?
Well, honestly, no. Because El Salvador is different from. I mean, I'm not saying we're better, not glorifying it, but we're different from any other Central American or South American countries. El Salvador is known for crazy ass dudes. You know what I'm saying? So, if anything, the homies, they used to be like, oh, crazy little settle, like little Salvadoran. I don't want to say the word, but it's a cuss word, but in Spanish. You know what I'm saying? But it's said affectionately. I think those that know what I'm talking about will understand. But yeah, no, man, we were embraced. Me and my brother were embraced. My uncle, obviously, man, they know we got that hot blood. If anything, we're taking under the wing. Let's go do this. Crazy little bastard types. That type of shit.
Is your uncle still around?
He was deported a long time ago. He's in El Salvador right now. He deported. Yeah.
Well, do you ever talk to him?
Once in a while, yeah.
And eventually, I know that you drop out of this gang, right? You get out of the
Yeah.
Sureños while you're in prison. What goes into that decision? Are you like, man, I'm just fed up with these dudes? I mean, what makes you do something like that?
Well, after doing 5 shoot terms, several stabbings, and several lockdowns, my longest lockdown was 2.5 years without leaving a prison cell, and I was going to medical, handcuffed, and right back to the cell. I did it from New Cork to Pleasant Valley, 2 lockdowns. We're at war with the Northerners at one, the Bulldogs in the other. And it's just a gradual transition, bro. Honestly, a gradual transition in mind. I was just tired of being tired. You see the favoritism, you see the BS behind the politics, and how it's not all that it's made out to be. And even then, when I think I was like 7, 8 years into my term, when I already knew better. But I still went off for years because I'm trying to parole active, meaning in good standings, right? But the main reason why I went is because I was not even a few years to going home. I see light at the end of the tunnel after my 15-year term. I lived my whole term like if I was never going home. So getting that close and not believing in the cause, and then they asked me to kill my cellie. They didn't ask me to stab him or nothing. They wanted me to overdose him. It would have been easy and all that. But ultimately, I don't trust dudes that lock it up, meaning that will go to the side and tell on dudes and snitch, so to speak. And then I get life in prison. I was ready to change, get out, and take care of my daughter.
Why did they want you to kill your celly? What was his transgressions?
Oh man, that's a whole different story. But basically, he was violating a lot of rules. See, he was a moneymaker at first. He was a hitter, meaning he was bringing things in. You know what I'm saying? He was bringing dope in, and he was a man on the yard for a couple of years, man. And then he just started slipping too much, got high on his own supply, and he just started. He was hitting for other races that you're not supposed to be hitting for back in, and that's a mortal sin, And Like I said, they wanted me to take care of it. I would have, but I knew this dude since I was a kid, and I knew somebody would have told on me. So there's several different factors where I was like, you know what, I'm cool. Hang up my gloves, I'm gone.
Let me ask you this. He was a hitter. People are listening. They're like, man, what does he mean by a hitter? Tell the people what you mean, that he's going on visits. He's
He was
getting.
bringing it. So there's a hitter, like meaning like there's a hit man, dudes a stab, things like that. What I mean by that, he was the dope man in prison. And money talks. You know that, Chad. Whoever has the money bag, whoever has the dope bag in prison, man, that's power. That's power. So that's who he was. He was a hitter. He used to hit every weekend, meaning dope used to land. And it's a whole thing that goes into it, man. But he was asking me to see. I used to get high once in a while, things like that, right? But at the time, I was clean. I was clean the majority of my prison term, even though sometimes I did mess around. Of course, I made no secret of that on my channel. But he was asking me to move in, move in, move in. And finally, he's like, hey, fool, these fools are hating on me. And I know this dude since we were kids, keep in mind. And I was like, man, these fools are hating on you. Okay, don't trip. I'm going to move over there, dog, and we're going to see what's up. In my mind, I'm thinking this fool's he got the power. He got money. Bam. I got the political savviness. Let's get it. Ain't nobody going to touch us. And plus, there's these organization members on the yard. So we're cool. I get there and I find out that these dudes just fucking up. He's just messing up all around. And I pretty much got to a sinking ship out of my loyalty to him since we were kids. And that's what it was, man. He was just messing up all around, Chad. Straight up.
He end up dropping out eventually. Does he get attacked? What happens to him?
Yeah, when I left, I told him, look, homie, I'm going to give you this courtesy shot. I'm gone. I don't care about this cause no more. It's been years. Get out there with my daughter, do my thing. I know I got a hell of a ride to go on the other side because on D yard there, it's a level 4. It's a 180 as well. And that yard is always cracking. The other side, they got gang members over there and all that shit, right? So I told him, look, they want you dead, homie. That's what it is. He didn't believe it. For the life of me, I don't understand how I didn't believe it because he just thought he could buy his way out of anything, right? All due respects to him. But yeah, anyways, I leave. As soon as they get off lockdown, I left during the lockdown. He gets stabbed 17 times. The only reason this dude lived is because the dude that tried to go stab him, he took off on him. My boy was with the business, he took off on him, lit him up. He was the one that had the block. The dude in the block, couldn't stand the dude either, man. He was, in my opinion, a coward. He was trying to go in there, hit him a few times, and then let everybody go in and do their thing, right? 2 or 3 dudes do their thing. But the homie didn't even let him do that. As soon as he tries to go to stab him, he takes off on him. And that prompted everybody to jump in. So because, yeah, he got stomped out. When I seen him in the back, he had his face this big, black. But I think that if it would have had only two or three dudes on him, they could have stabbed him and killed him right. Everybody got in each other's way, in other words. Pretty much.
You think he believed you after when he was laying in the hospital? Like, damn, I guess homie was keeping it real?
Oh, yeah, man. I ended up seeing him on the other side. I ended up seeing it on D yard. And I told him, I was like, man, bro, but he was just high as Chad. He was on several substances. And, I was messing around, but I was only messing around with with the downers, one downer. He was messing around with the uppers, downers, sideways, this. So his mind was just, he wasn't all there at the time.
You drop out of your gang, though. Are your feelings hurt a little bit? Do you regret the decision?
Oh, man, bro.
You're like, damn.
Man, that's the question right there. My brother's still fully active. And when I say he's active in every sense of the word, and that's all I'll say on him. Can't speak on him. So I'm talking about organizations and all that. But we held strong for a long time, man. As we seen other homeboys dropping, they were dropping out. By the time it got to 2017, it was pretty much the end of the road. 85% of the systems, SNY, we're still holding on strong. That's why I was like, man, fuck this. What am I holding on for? Get live for this? Nah, I'm cool. But he was at the top of my head. They made me wait 2 or 3 days. They were like, hold on, do it when we say. And I was waiting. If they would have told me to do it that first day, I would have done it, unfortunately. But they gave me time to think. And when I thought about it, after the 3rd day, I was like, you know what? Fuck, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And I held strong because of my brother, because of our career, because of our family member. And I didn't want to disgrace our name, our neighborhood, and things like that. But at the end of the day, man, even though I didn't believe in it no more, I still had a reputation to uphold, things like that. If our hearts change, it happens, bro. But no, when I got to the back, man, I was depressed, dog. I was hella depressed. I was down. I don't think anybody will ever understand the type of work and lifestyle that I lived and the name that I had, putting in all that work to the fullest, all level 4 yard shoot terms, having blocks. Like I said, to that, I had a lot of people that were disappointed in me. But the number one thing I took with me is not debriefing and not telling on anybody. Other dudes will, oh, I PC'd up now. I went to the other side. So now I'm going to tell dudes to get to the other side faster. Who has a cell phone? This, bro, they kept me in a hole for 6 months because I didn't want to tell them anything. You know what I'm saying? And
How
that's the
about your
only thing it took for me.
how
For
about your
me.
brother? I mean, was he upset that you did what you did?
Oh man, I was dead to him. I thought about reaching out to him. I already knew that he was gonna disown me, right? But the crazy part about it is I didn't reach out to him. I started the letter about 5 times, bro. I started the letter about 5 times, and ultimately I was like, F that. If he wants to disown me, I hadn't heard nothing from him, but I already knew how I was, what he would feel, what he would think. And I was feeling it, I think, in many senses, at the same time as he was feeling it. I was sitting there in a cell, single cell, going through it. And I know that as soon as he hears the news, I wanted him to hear the news from me first. That's why I started writing the letter. But I thought eventually, by the time he gets this letter, I don't even know where to send it. I was going to try to send it to somewhere that hopefully will run into him, in the system or somewhere. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to let him find out when he finds out, and I'm going to give him time. And sure enough, when I first spoke to him, bro, he needed that time, because if I would have tried to reach out to him within the first few months, first year, man, it would have been all bad. But yeah.
He's still incarcerated now.
He's actually out right now, man. He's doing life on the extension plan. That's what I call it. He's been in and out since we were kids. He's been everywhere, bro. Pelican Bay, the shoe, everything, man. He's done time. And his longest term was, I think, like 8, 9 years. And ever since, he's just been doing like little terms, 2 years here, 2 years there, 1 year here, things like that.
Eventually, you end up with this female prison employee, right?
Mhm.
What was her position?
She was a SUD counselor, substance abuse disorder treatment. I think that's what it stood for. And it was at Kern Valley State Prison on a level 4 right there. The first time I met her was when I was active, ironically enough, But, I wasn't trying to get at this girl or nothing like that, but that's the first time I met her.
What happens? I mean, you hear these stories about, prison guards and inmates, but eventually you end up marrying this chick, right?
Yeah, we've been together for about 6 years now. We met in prison. See, when you're on the main line, bro, it's the homies, the organizations they want you to get staff, COs, things like that, so they could bring in dope for money, things like that, right? Um, that's why I would not ever try to get at a girl on the main line, because I know they're just going to be used, and I'm not that type of person. I've always been like that. I have a daughter. I would never want anybody to do that to my daughter, right? But not only that, you could get accused if you're messing around with a female staff or something, and they get caught. They could easily just say, "Oh, he touched me," and you're mess and you're done. Your career's over. You get stabbed off or killed off the yard. But this didn't happen till I got to the other side. The other side, there's no politics like that. You're your own man. You could do what you want. That being said, it's the jungle.
She's a substance abuse counselor. Do you start kicking it to her, or I mean, how's it go?
Okay, so this is how it went, bro. When we first met on A Yard, the very first thing she ever said to me, like, "Hey, take off your hat. You're not supposed to have your hat during group." And I was, and she thought I didn't hear her, right? She still gives me shit about that to this day, clowning, of course. And then I ended up taking off my hat, but I told her I didn't had my hat on because I had an afro, I had big hair at the time. I was kind of embarrassed about my hair. Nothing happened. That was that. I go over to D Yard. I'm not active at this point now. I have no powers that be beholden, because if I would have got at a staff over there, they would have found out. They would have been like, hey, you know what you got to do. Bring that in, bring that in, bring that in. If she doesn't want to do it, or else type shit, And then that will mess up her life. She'll have to quit her job, do that type of stuff, These are organizations that you don't play with, But when I got to the side, one of her best friends got promoted to supervisor. She's the one that actually used to run the class before her. And she got promoted to supervisor. And for a whole week, she was telling my wife, before she was my wife, like, "Hey, I want you to take over this class. I think you're the one that, you're the one to do it. I don't trust anybody else in my class. This girl was a piece of work too. The supervisor that got promoted to supervisor, really on your face, intellectual, smart as hell, but she thought she knew it all, right? And she's a go-getter. That's why she got promoted. So, but she only trusted my wife to take over the class because she knows she was ethical. She knows she didn't fucking mess around with convicts or things like that, right? She drug it on for almost 2 weeks. She didn't want to go, And the first day that she ever got to that classroom, bro, it was I didn't go. There was this dude trying to get at the supervisor before she got promoted, right? This dude from 18th Street. He was trying to get at her, this and that. And I was cool. I was like, whatever, do your thing. I don't care. These dudes, all they cared about was trying to pull staff to bring in dope. And I stepped back. That's not my thing. I could care less. I'm going home type shit, So she gets promoted. He's like, fuck, man, there goes all the work I put in. I don't think he would have ever been able to succeed anyways. So when this new one comes in, same thing, right? That day I didn't go because I just told a story on my channel. A homie passing away, my neighbor. The reason I didn't go to class that day is because we had a death in our block, in 4 block. And they didn't let our block go out to school, to the substance abuse class. So the next day when I get in there, pretty much telling me he already pissed on that fire hydrant and that's his property. I was like, the fuck? Like, first of all, homie, I don't care about all that. Second of all, you're going to tell me what to do, But this dude, even though on that side, we're no longer active type shit, this dude has a crew with him. He has a crew of about 10 or 15 dudes because this fool has dope, and he has little minions that he gives dope to. And, they're little freaking torpedoes, bro. They'll do his bidding as long as he keeps them getting high.
Matter if you're in a dropout yard or not, man, you see dudes that gang up again.
Oh, my boy. That's what I'm saying. Like, so in that yard, just to give you a little context, 1 through 8 block, right? 7, 8 block was the step down program and C status. 5 and 6 block were the actual STG, SNY gang members, the ones that were actually from established SNY gangs. 1 through 4 block, the lower yard that was separated, that's where I was at. All of us are ex-homies that came from A and B yard or other yards. We all take it upon ourselves to get rid of child molesters, rapists, and they were even cleaning up the yard. For a few days, the transvestites landed there and they were packing them out. Right? They don't exist. They packed them out. We didn't want them there. Send them to C yard. So it functioned like a righteous yard, but everybody is their own man. So dudes got clicked up. They didn't start no gangs, but they had their boys. They had little crews. Boom, 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 boom. So this is what I was dealing with this dude. So this is how I started for me. Like straight up, I ain't even got no issue saying it. My wife seemed real gullible at the time, real susceptible to that type of stuff. So I put her to the side when we used to do one-on-ones. They're called therapy one-on-one sessions. And I told her, like, look, I don't know what it is that, these dudes are trying to do, but I told her just keep your head up, be on your toes, don't do nothing stupid because nothing lasts forever. That's literally all I told her, bro. Nothing lasts forever, And I seen a younger girl, like I said, I didn't want her to mess up her life. Things like that, And that's how it started. That's how we started talking. Boom, 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 boom. She was like, shit, I don't care. I ain't messing with these dudes type shit, And then I let her know, this is what it is. This is how I changed my life. And, little by little, that's how I progressed.
Is she also Salvadorian or no?
No. My girl's black, my boy. She's black. She's an African, beautiful woman. And so when we started talking, right, there's this thing called treatment plans. And they make you do assignments. And that pretty much gave me, I used to do my assignment, but I'll put a little footnote, boom, boom, once in a while, boom, boom. And that's how we started getting to know each other, little by little, little by little, little by little, to a point where, and first of all, the only reason she even thought about looking my way is because she knew I wasn't with that bullshit. She knew I was ready to change my life. She knew I wouldn't have the audacity to ask her to bring in dope or anything like that. This is before and after. You know what I'm saying? And
let me ask you this though. So you guys are kicking it. You're getting to know each other on a personal level through the little assignments. And she's like, yo, I'm feeling this dude. He seems like, he turned his life around. He's a different dude. So, is there a relationship that starts while you're at the prison?
Yeah. Well, so it took maybe about, and that wasn't my intention. You know, let me clarify that for everybody. And I'm sure it wasn't her intention either, because she was really strict and by the book, bro. She was good. She's a good person. She has a great heart. She loves helping people. You know, it just, you know, we clicked. We're very much alike, and it progressively got there, you know? And I bet I had this dude on my back the whole time. And see, I went in and I told him, don't trip. Let me try to pull her that way, you know, do the thing. But in reality, I was protecting her, you
This
know.
dude
In
also
my
an ex Sureno or black ex
Yeah,
black.
he's an ex-Sureno. He's an ex-Sureno from 18th Street. Ex-Sureno from 18th Street. They call him Fire, matter of fact. He's still locked up, but he's the type of dude, bro, that he was an alpha male. In the class, he wanted to dominate everybody. And me and him got into it in the class, like straight up, what's up? I mean, like, you know, like, but it's unfortunate, bro, because I'm a humble dude. But the moment that I see somebody try to push up on me, dog, I see red, you know? And he's the type of dude that tries to use his influence and his homeboys to scare people. And he knew that I knew that he had a crew, but I didn't care, bro. I stepped up to him like, what's up, dog? Back over there, I was by myself, dog. I was by myself. You know what I'm
Really,
saying?
he wanted. So really, he wanted the girl that you're kind of halfway
Pretty
kicking with.
much.
You
Pretty
know,
much. And that's what I said. Like, he tried to lay claim to her that first day because I didn't go because they didn't let us out. So he tried to lay claim to her. I was like, lay claim to her, bro. Like, first of all, you try to get her, but second of all, you gonna tell me what to do. Yeah. Go ahead.
so eventually, I mean, you're married to this girl. I don't know, but this people are interested in this stuff. I mean, is there a sexual relationship while you're incarcerated?
Okay, so no, no, she would not even, she's not that type of woman. Um, Even if we had the chance to do so, no, I used to call her, oh, scary ass, but I never tried. I respected her, bro. It was an emotional connection. And, towards the end, we made plans. We made plans. I was like, look, I'm a parole. I'm gonna do this. I felt for her, bro. We righteously fell in love. And in due time, she introduced me to the kids, meaning like pictures, things like that. She was really cautious. And rightfully so, especially with a single mother, right? And then she had a whole situation, things like that too, right? But this dude was on my ass the whole time, bro. We got into it on the yard, about to blast each other. Because when I left the class, I had to find a way to keep our. By the time I left the class, bro, we were already writing back and forth, full-fledged letters, and that was that. And I told her, look, we got to be careful. Nobody could know because people are going to try to get on you, and motherfuckers could tell, because they're haters, bro. The moment that you shoot them down, you know how haters are, bro. They're gonna fucking
It
tell
is.
on
I
us.
mean, I understand that. So you end up getting out of prison. Then you two connect. Does she lose her job? Do they find out?
Okay, so look, this is what happened. Um, so it gets to the point, bro, where I can no longer hold this fool off. I'm telling this dude, like, okay, so he sees us exchanging letters. He sees after I left the class, he sees that my cellie, he used to go to education every day to a different class, but he used to drop off letters to her every day, and then I used to pick them up. It was a beautiful thing. One time we were on lockdown, the counselors have to give us homework while we are on lockdown. She used to pass around and give me her letters. You know what I'm saying? We were writing to each other. And but this dude was on me, bro, to the point when I left, he was trying to fucking send people to tell me that she was messing with this dude and that dude and this dude, which wasn't true. It's just hater. He was just trying to get me to flip and be like, nah, I'm cool with this, it's that type of shit. But he didn't know who he was fucking with, right? I know what I have, and that's what it was, And I finally, I'm because I didn't have no assignments, meaning I had no classes. There's very, very rarely was I able to get out during education release where I could see him. Then finally I snuck out. I had a medical ducket and I waited and I snuck out and I ran up on him and I told him, hey, what's up, dog? What's all this bullshit you're trying to do? And start talking all this shit, smutting up my girl, dog. He's like, what on me? I was like, what's up, dog? Pulled out my shit, And I was, hey, homie, they're watching. I was like, man, don't fuck about any of that, dog, And his boys were right there too, dog. And man, after that, we exchanged words, did our thing. He was ready to get at it too, though. I will say that about him. But anybody could be fucking with the business when you got 3 or 4 boys right there about to back you up as well. You know what I'm saying? I didn't give a fuck. I'll take that ass whooping, But after that, bro, he was like, okay, homie, yeah, Spencer, this is a that. Like, when is it gonna happen? When is she gonna bring in dope? Because I will admit that I was telling this dude, like, hey, I'll get her to bring something in, don't trip. But the whole time, that was never my intention. I was just trying to protect her. You know what I'm saying? And and I finally broke the news to him, like, hey, fool, she's not gonna bring nothing in, homie. I tried and I tried and I tried, bro. She's just not gonna bring nothing in. I never tried. I would never even disrespect her like that. You know what I'm saying? It just so happened that I actually ended up falling for her. We ended up falling for each other, and it was a good thing. You know what I'm saying? But in the meanwhile,
it worked out. And
it worked
now
out.
you're home, you're free. The two of you are legally married, correct?
Yes, sir.
And
She ended up having to leave the job. Sorry to interrupt you, but to answer your question, the rest of it, she ended up having to leave the job. I told her to before she got caught, messed up her career, and before this fool told on us. Because I just seen that he was gonna hate, dog. And so she ended up leaving, got a job in Santa Monica for me, and now we're here.
now you're living your best life. But I know that you're doing well. I know you had some little YouTube beefs here and there, and
Yeah.
I mean that just comes with the territory whenever you're in the prison genre, right?
Yeah,
But
that's crazy, bro. Unnecessary stuff too.
I'm glad to see you doing better. I mean, it sucks to be a Packers fan, but other than that, man,
Right.
go. Is there anything you want to say before we go?
I want to say, man, I'm very proud of how far you came, homie. Appreciate everything that you do. From the bottom of my heart, I'm a righteous supporter. There's a lot of prison channels that I don't support that I used to like, but you're one of the few, bro, that I see that you are who you say you are. And man, I appreciate you having me on. And man, bro, Chad's the real deal, man. He's a good dude, man. You help people, bro. You make a difference, and that's a beautiful thing.
I definitely appreciate that. But tell the people where they can find you. Talk about your YouTube channel real quick, and where else, wherever they can find you, brother.
Okay, so some of you may have heard of me already from my last channel. My last channel is no longer there. I started this new channel about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. It's called A Prisoner's Awakening, and basically my mission with this channel, like the one before, is telling my experiences so that the youngsters or reoffenders will learn not to go in there to begin with, or not to go back and take care of their families, dog. For the youngsters primarily.
That's what's up. Listen, man, I appreciate you coming on. I'm gonna tell people, if you like what we're doing, you already know, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. With respect, Blood on the Razor Wire TV.